Marti.
And we're live. And hi everybody. I want you to welcome Marti Baxter. This is a lady. Well, you can introduce yourself, can't you?
Oh, that looks lovely. Right, just throw you
In it. Just throw you in it. Yeah. But
so Marti, nice to meet you. And I'm really excited to be on this today because we were talking, Kerry and I, before we started this, the other day actually, like what's involved, what we're going to do. And we're really keen to make sure that people know that this spiritual journey that we're all on, it's a lifelong journey, and there's no special snowflakes. Everybody has gifts. My job is to help people bring them out. So that's what I see myself as. I see myself as a spiritual mentor and a coach. I have other skills because we don't get to that point without having taken a journey ourselves. So I can also read tarot. I'm a crystal healer. I'm a Reiki master teacher. I sound like a bitzer, don't I? Bits of this and bits of that.
I like it. I love
it. But I think we follow the breadcrumbs. And so that's what I've done. And in the end, where I am now is running an online spiritual community for women and teaching people in hopefully psychic development circles, teaching people Reiki, teaching people one-to-one mentoring about the next level of how to work with their gifts. So that's me.
Fantastic. I mean, we've got so much to unpack. I've been so looking forward to this podcast, and it's going to be amazing. But to start, you've introduced yourself and what you do and stuff, but how did it all begin with you, Marti? Let's get to the nitty gritty of how did you start with this?
What happened?
What happened? Was you young?
I think this is a question we get asked a lot. Like, everybody has spiritual gifts. So when we're born, like if you look at children, they're a lot more intuitive. They're a lot more open, free. They're straight up having a better time than us, aren't they? But I think we're all born intuitive and wise and with gifts. It's just that life, the universe, society constructs, all of that knocks it out of us. And so I ended up quite a mess, if I'm honest with you. Like, full disclosure, I was suffering with depression, anxiety, borderline agoraphobia, just trying to fit in with the world as it existed rather than being able to be myself.
So what is agoraphobia? If you don't
you're scared to go out. So I was actually fearful of going out. I felt unsafe. I could do it and I could put on a game face. I think we've all got that, haven't we? But,
absolutely.
I was really, really apprehensive about everything. Everything made me nervous because of an interesting childhood. Let's park that and go. It was definitely interesting. It was a journey to get to there. And then I fell pregnant quite by accident, although very wanted. Went through the pregnancy. I was poorly. I had preeclampsia and lots of different things. I nearly died during childbirth. So the transition of bringing my daughter into this world nearly finished us both off. And I think, I know that was definitely like the open door situation. A lot of people describe like a lighted tunnel and seeing their relatives and really have any of that. I had this awareness that I was in a room, almost like a waiting room, and I had a choice and I fought my way back. I literally thought, I was like, I wanted this child more than anything. You can't take her from me. I'm not coming. Send me back. And anybody who knows me knows that I would be in that room having an argument, just fighting my way back. And I did. And I came back and I thought, do you know what? Like, I know I'm a mess, and I was a mess, especially in that moment. But I know there's more. There must be more. There must be more than this. Like, why am I just existing and trying to get by rather than actually living and having this experience? I don't know. It was quite humbling. Like, it couldn't be like that.
And I think quite a few people, I mean, I'd be amazed if no one could relate to that, because at some point in our life, we would be, I've experienced that kind of feeling, and no doubt there's many of people as has had some kind of experience. You don't get by in life without some disruption and some kind of like upset or, you know, questions.
Absolutely.
You know, is, you know, that is in the thing. So that's
And I think that, you know, mine was quite extreme. But I am quite dramatic and extreme. I think that doesn't surprise people. But I don't think it much less would have woken me up. However, when we talk about this spiritual awakening journey, which is what you're sort of saying, a lot of it is trauma induced. A lot of it is getting to rock bottom. The amount of people that I meet, you probably have exactly the same, who hit rock bottom and the only way is up. You know, and they're like, I can't live like this anymore. I can't be like this anymore. There are so many catalysts that can take people to that spiritual awakening. I call it an awakening. Some people don't like that term, but you know, it's a transition.
Right, they're saying they can't hear me. Can you hear me now? I don't know. I mean, you can hear me okay, can't you?
I can hear you.
Yeah, the mic has been working fine. So I don't know what's happening. So just because I don't want us, you know, we're still talking and no one can hear us.
Yeah, that's a shame.
So let me just you hear us. Well, Helen can hear us, so it could be their end, but all right, right. So we'll get back to the base.
This is when you can tell it's live, people.
Yes, we can now. Thank God for that.
Okay, good job.
Yeah. Right, we'll get back to, do you find that, because I don't, my experiences was like you go through different kind of awakenings, so it's almost like it puts you into a catalyst of like like you said, awareness. I was aware, you know, and now I'm questioning things. Now I'm sort of like getting curious about things, so I want to start investigating. And then you go through, did you go, you know, I know we're talking about the very beginning, but I'm just curious, did you find that different parts of your life you went through some kind of dramatic experience that got you into another aspect of?
Absolutely. And that's the same for all of us. We are all going through life almost like one crisis at a time sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
A bit like that, right? Like, okay, what's next? Come on, somebody's playing with me up there. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I remember when I first started, like I had this awakening, I had this awareness. I came to oils and crystals first. That was like, let me help myself. What can I use? And I was prepared to go with anything. And I went to the library. Like a couple of months in, maybe even 6 months in, I had a new baby. I was a bit busy. And I stood in what I call the weirdo section, you know, the alternative section. There was like a couple of rows of books that I don't even know what they called it, like the spiritual. And I was like, right, okay, that's definitely where I want to be. Go past my usual sci-fi section into this section. And there was so much. I remember being just completely overwhelmed and thinking, I want to learn all of this stuff. I want to know all the things. Where would I even start? Where would we even start? So that was like my first thing. And I thought, well, I've got some oils and I've got some crystals, so I might start with that. And then, you know, that was going okay. And then my daughter ended up in hospital, really scary. She was quite young. She was like 2.5, 3. And I remember being there, and, you know, anybody who's a parent knows that's terrifying. The doctors were saying, we don't really know what's wrong with her. I'm like, that's a problem. Like, that's why I brought her to you, because I already don't know. Don't tell me that.
Yeah.
That's all of us don't know. And they were talking about liver failure, and really scary. And I remember sitting there thinking, I wish I could do something. I definitely don't want to be a doctor or a nurse. Huge respect to those people. But that is not my bag. I haven't got the patience for it. I don't want to be around that many people all the time. The energies for an empath would be a nightmare. But, you know, I wish I could do something to help. And isn't it funny how the universe just really answers us? Because a couple of months later, past on my Facebook feed, scrolled Reiki teaching. And I remember thinking, oh, yeah, I've had this before. I had it before. I had it after I had the same baby to help me recover and heal from my C-section. I'd looked into it. It was always extortionately expensive. I couldn't afford it. Even if I wanted to train in it, I couldn't afford it. But it was always a kind of an inkling. And the universe just puts us in the right place. I call it following the breadcrumbs. I've heard a lot of other people use that term as well.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Yeah.
And I think,
and you go round. It's really interesting. Sorry to interrupt. You go back down, don't you? It's like one of my neighbors. She used to say, "Kerry, you always go back full circle, no matter what." So I would come away from it for a while, and then and I'll be back to where I was at the beginning. So it's almost like you are going to get. Well, we will, carry on. Sorry.
Yeah, it's exactly true. And I say this to people when I teach as well. I'm like, to do my Reiki journey, to get from Reiki level 1 to teacher level, it took me quite a few years, because I went off and did other stuff in the meantime. I was busy, I was living. And I think that that's really important to say. There is no end goal. There is just you and what you want out of this life and the best tools for you. And I didn't know I would teach Reiki when I did it. And, hilarious how it all unfolds. I just saw it because my daughter had been in hospital, and I was thinking that would have been useful. And so I checked if I was free, and I was free. And I thought, well, I'm going to sign up for it. But when we talk about the journey, I didn't tell anybody I signed up for it, because I thought you had to be kind of special to be able to do something like that. I was like, I understand it works. I believe it. There's no question.
Yeah.
But me doing it, that seems weird. Like, I'm not going to tell anybody in case it doesn't work and I look like an idiot. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and I look like I've been sucked into because I was very doubtful, very skeptical. And no one was more surprised than me when it worked. But, as always, there's always sort of something going on, even down to the guy who taught me. Oh, my God, when I first did it as well, I didn't know anybody. I didn't know who was teaching. I'd seen it on Facebook. I clicked yes, I paid. I was like, ah. And I went and I followed the sat nav, and I ended up in a car park. I think I've told you this journey. I ended up in a car park.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm like, right. Okay, I must have got it wrong. Checking the directions. And I phoned them and I went, hi, funny story. I'm in a car park. I'm notorious for getting lost as well. So, nobody would have been surprised at that either. I was like, I'm in a car park. And he said, can you see a hedge? Yeah. And he went, we're behind the hedge in a porter cabin. And I thought, I haven't told anybody I'm coming, right? Nobody knows I'm here. I'm in Essex, of all places. And I was like, this is how it ends. It's going to be the end of me. I went round, there's a porter cabin, and I learned with 10 people. And when I teach either online or in person, 1-to-1, because I mean, he was great. I love my Reiki master. I love all the tutors. All of them have brought something different to me. I think that's important to share as well. When we talk about, like you said, we do something and then we go off and we do something else. All of these people have brought a different vibration, a different frequency, a different evolution to my journey. And I'm still in touch with most of them.
But I also think even a negative, sometimes you do get negative, courses or whatever, but that's still is still part of a learning. You still learn from the experience. You might not at that particular thing, that's a pointless, but when you actually start knowing your path, I think it all starts fitting together, and you start to realize your own ethics on things. Like you were saying, I'm all in touch with them. I love the people that was there, but also I wanted to bring something a little bit different. So that's,
I think we bring ourselves to everything we do.
Yeah,
and I think that's really important for people to realize. Nobody just woke up one day and they were spiritual. It's all been a journey. It's all been learned. It's all been piecemeal. And there's nothing that hasn't helped, even the things that didn't feel like they helped. Like, I trained in EFT, they're tapping.
Yeah.
Emotional freedom technique. And I was convinced I was going to love it because I already did it. I was like, I should train in that so that I can offer it to people. I did the first level and the woman teaching me was great, but I just didn't really vibe with it. I really didn't. And I was like, I thought this was going to be amazing. And actually, I'm not called to it. And the day I was due to start level 2, I phoned and I cancelled. And she went, oh God, we'll hold your deposit. How lovely, by the way. We'll hold your deposit and you can join the next one. I went, no, I'm just really listening to my intuition now. And this might be for later, but it's not for now. And I signed up because I'd done level 1 and I like to complete things. We have that. I've started, so I'll finish. You know, I like to see a project through. But I just really was like, I don't feel well. I feel like I'm trying to talk myself out of it. And, you know, I urge myself and people I work with to ask themselves questions at that point. You know, go ahead as if you were going to be doing it. So I'm sitting there, I'm going to be in this EFT course. How am I going to feel? And my whole body slumped. And I thought, okay. So I message her and I go, I can't make it. How am I going to feel? And I lifted back up and I went, right, that's what I do then.
That's your answer then, isn't it? So we did an exercise in the Reiki with the teacher, and she you know, like when you asked yes or no, I ain't gonna stand up, but you're standing up and you ask a question, and forward was kind of yes and no. So she said you learn because your vibration of your body. So very similar what you were saying about I felt pulled to do it. This is like giving me the encouragement, or actually I'm pulling back a little bit. So it's
absolutely. There's so many ways to access your intuition, and one way isn't right. We call that a sway, don't we?
Yeah.
You know, ask your sway. And I have a lady that I'm in I don't even know what I'm in this community for. You know, when you join things and you don't quite know why you're there, but she teaches all of that. I have no idea what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm clearly not doing it, by the way. Sorry, lady. But one of the things she does, I think it's like a money thing, how to invest or something. I have no idea, by the way. I haven't invested anything. But I learned this sway method, exactly like you say, and it's useful to be able to understand that there's so many ways to access your intuition, and so many ways that you get already that you didn't know were that. So like when we get goosebumps, or when we get stomach twists or cramps or something like that, all of that is inner guidance, inner wisdom to let you know. And we have a very clear yes or no. But nobody teaches us to ask the question. You know, if we ask ourselves the question, how do I feel if I do this? You know, is this a yes or a no for me? Your mind will say something if you don't get in the way.
I call it Bob, my brain. It's like, go away, Bob.
That.
I swear. But usually they just like, sorry, go on.
No. Oh, we're so excited. We both love the same conversations. That's our problem. But yeah, your spirit guides, your sort of higher self, your inner wisdom, your wise woman or wise man, whatever you want to call it, all much of a muchness to me. All of that has ways to access. It's been talking to you, not like the voices in my head, not like crazy talk. It's been talking to you and communicating with you, but we don't know to listen for it. We've actually been trained out of that. And at some point, don't you find you have to do like a trust fall of some kind?
Yeah, I get it. For many years when I went through all this spiritual stuff, I was always I'm like in my head a lot, awful. Yeah, I still like it, but not as bad as I used to be. So I was always looking out for outside information.
Yeah.
When I had I went through a phase of dramaticness. I won't go into it because this is your podcast, but it is irrelevant to the podcast. I started going internally. So I started doing a lot of journaling, you know, anything to sort of keep my mind, because obviously my mind was chattering. I needed to get it all out on paper. And I started to find myself more, and I started to understand because I had to learn to listen to my body due to my condition. So I'm starting to put that practice into what I do myself, you know. So but it took me years to figure, because like you said, no one teaches you that. They all teach you to connect to your spirit guides, or you know, always something else rather than yourself first. And I'm a believer, you need to be connected to yourself first before you can connect I don't
Well,
know
you know,
your
I
viewpoint.
agree. I agree. And I think the problem is, you know, when we start this journey and to a large degree, many years in, we are looking for validation from somebody who knows what they're doing, almost like looking for the adultier adult. Do you know what I mean? Like, who knows what they're doing? Like, anybody? And when everybody starts looking at you, I shit myself and, oh my God, don't make me the one in charge. But no, it's true, isn't it? And, you know, we have this innate wisdom, this inner knowing, but the way to access it is to ask a question. If we don't ask a question, we don't get any wisdom whatsoever. And that was weird. That was a learning. And then every step of this is about tapping into, how do I best hear? How do I best know? And weirdly, when you talk about journaling, it's such a great technique. Yeah. But what's actually happening, you know, if you kind of look at it from the outside looking in, you're taking stuff that you've stored at a cellular level inside your body, inside your mind, inside your physicality, inside your whole energy field. And by writing it down, you take it from inside and put it external to yourself for the first time. Yeah. So you've got this sort of split from it for the first time. Yeah. And then a stage on from that is, if it's stuff that you really don't want anymore, you could maybe release it with a burn ceremony of some kind, you know, burn it to signify to the universe, I don't want that. Don't give it back. I was trying to get rid of that. I've written it out to get rid. And then you have the space within you to start bringing in what you do want and doing the work that you do want to do.
Have you heard of the artistic way, which is writing 7 pages in the morning? And it don't matter. You got I never done 7 pages, but I did, you know, so you
I've got ADHD, lady. I won't be there that long. You want 1 page and make it count.
But it's an artistic way. So it was for people who had like a block, you know, so it's like a writer's block. So what happens, even if you don't know what to say, you just write, I don't know what to say, I don't know what to say. And then you just flow with it. And then all this crap comes out. And then, you know, when you were saying about burning it, or, you know, you don't read it, it's just getting that up. But
get it out and get it gone.
Get it out, get it gone. And then the juicy stuff starts coming out. And
I love that, because we're not taught how to process blocks at all.
No.
And
correct,
it annoys me a little bit with the spiritual community, and I will be open and honest, although I'm part of the same community, so oops. But, you know, there are a lot of people who are just trying to cash in on your fear. Yeah. And I think when I first started, I was like, I need somebody that I can trust to be, and to hear what they've done and how they've done it, so that I know if they can help me or not. You know, but I found a lot of people were just trying to sell a program, and they were what I call one-trick ponies. I'm from London. So, you know, like one-trick pony, they've got one tool and they're going to make that tool work for everything. I'm like, that doesn't happen.
It don't work that way, though, does it?
No. So, you know, we could try that 7 pages, which I don't think I'll make it to the end of full disclosure. But, you know, I have done that. And then the next part would be solved by like practicing gratitude, because it's very easy to fall into victimhood and feeling sorry for yourself, because life is hard. You know, life is tough. I get it. You know, not everything is roses, and, you know, I'm still waiting for the unicorns and fairies journey that I feel like I was promised, and what I've got is this rocking in the corner.
I want to be flying on a unicorn. Yeah, I get that.
It's so rude, so rude. But yeah, I think every sort of time we hear something, if we have a go, if it fits us, great. If it doesn't, great. But there's so many ways to get to the same end result. So my urge for people, whether it's, I don't care if it's me either, I'm like, this is not a pimping myself out escapade or pimping you out. Like, listen to people and see if they speak to you. Because when you're new on the journey, you do need somebody to guide you. You're not just going to accidentally fall into, you know, on your destiny path, going the right way, having the best life. Not that that's a thing.
No, it didn't work that way, does it?
It's Instagram, not here. Like, this is not an Insta story. I assure you, it's It's a journey. I say that while I'm sort of slumped to one side.
You know, it's the same. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
But I think we can get caught up in thinking there's one way and we have to follow this way, but it hasn't been working, so we're doing it wrong. And then we start to question, like, can I even do this? And you get it. I mean, we both read cards, don't we?
Yeah.
And we both do healing of different types because we're both empathic. And it, when I talk about healing, I'm not talking about like, oh, the angels sang. That's not what healing is. Healing can be listening to your friend. You have a healing aura and people come to you or they want your directness. My words of wisdom are not gentle. I'm quite direct. If you're a mess, lady, I'm going to tell you you're a mess. I'm like, that looks
I can vouch for that one.
I don't think that's
right.
Didn't
say I was a mess, but yeah.
No, not you. But, sometimes
you
need somebody who's straight talking. If you're looking for a love and lighter, I'm not your girl.
Yeah.
But I can point you to some really beautiful energies. If you're a star seed person, you feel really called to like the Pleiades aspect. That's not me either. I'm definitely from here. I'm bug witch. If you're looking for somebody earthing, grounded, a little bit mad, but like fully on this plane. I love the 3D. I'm not trying to play in the 5D all the time. I do dance the both because we have to.
Yeah.
But there's so many ways to an end goal, and there's so many evolutions and unfoldings of you. I don't know a better way to say that. With each piece of information you get with each new part of the journey, like one of my kids has gone to uni. That bears no relevance on me other than she's out of the house a lot more than she was before now because she has a room there. And the time that I have back, has allowed me to do things that I couldn't do before. Yeah. I've still got a child here. And I was like, I didn't expect that. So that's very human. That's a very human thing. Yeah. I've got more time to learn. This child doesn't talk to me as much as that child did. She's very content in her YouTube tutorials. I apparently don't have a lot to offer, although she is still into Greek mythology. So at least I've got something in there. But, we have different things happening all the time. We meet different people. It brings out different aspects of us. And I don't know. I just think trying to have the journey that we are meant to have can look different at every level. And that's good. That's a good thing.
Yeah. I think you have got to ride with it to a certain, you got to take some sort of like responsibility. I mean, we'll go back to the journaling. I mean, when I was doing journaling, I was for ages, I was writing as a victim would, the world was against me. But the longer I carried on with the thing, it was the way my writing started to change. So and then my attitude started to change more. But
absolutely. And this is not against people, being a victim or people on medication. I've done all of that training. And full disclosure, I do what makes you feel right. But eventually there came a point in time for me where I just didn't want to be in that headspace anymore. I was sick to death of myself. Like, I'm sick of living like this. It's not what I want to do. And so that was for me, like the catalyst to go and find other tools like your journaling. I did used to journal daily. I did it for years. I only actually stopped because I was worried that the children would find my journals and read what was in effect a brain dump.
Yeah.
And maybe take it the wrong way, because if it was a tough day, my journal would be like, oh my God, like, dear diary, did you see the state of that?
Yeah, it wasn't a Bridget Jones diary, was it?
No, it wasn't. It's been 21 days since my last cigarette. It wasn't that sort of diary. It was very much like, I don't know how to get this out of my system. And I didn't even know that that's what I was doing. Then I found gratitude. That helped. And, when I talk about practicing gratitude, I don't mean, fake grateful. I'm not a believer in fake it till you make it. Sometimes the gratitude I could pass was just, I like the color of my eyes today. That was all I could think of in my entire life. That was a win for the day. But it was enough. That I could do something. I say something. I don't know why that. you know, I think I was just looking in the mirror, looking for inspiration one day, like me to me, what are we doing here? What are we going to do? And it came, and I thought, well, at least my eyes are nice blue. And that was my gratitude for that day. And when I didn't have anything, I'd fall back on that. I don't, you know, now I'm older, my eyes are very different anyway, but we have to be able to realize that we're not stuck.
It's funny. I had the conversation with my daughter, or daughters, and saying to them, you know, we do go through difficulties, and we go through stuff, and I'm not living the life how I perceive it. It's not like I'm living this life that I'm just maintaining it and managing it and doing the best I can. But each day I try to wake up with something that is, that is happy in that day, is not, which is your gratitude. Because if you don't, you're gonna go mental, for starters. You're not gonna, because you're just going to go on a downward spiral. You're going to end up spiraling because you're not in the place that you want to be. And also it's good to sort of recognize what you have achieved that day. And there was, I know this sounds weird, but lately I've been doing a list of, like, not, rather than writing the list of what I need to do, I've wrote the list of what I've done and ticked it. I know that sounds bizarre. I know that sounds really weird, but
no,
it's almost,
I love a list for a start. But yeah, like, why are we so hard on ourselves? Why don't we congratulate ourselves for how far we've come, the adversity, like the hardships we've faced and faced down? Like, you are giving this journey. I'm not one of these people who's like, I'm destined to do it. Sometimes I screw up and I pay the price for that screw up. But to keep falling back into, like, why me? Why does this always happen to me? Which I was in, really real. I was in.
Same.
It's been so hard for me. They don't understand how it is for me. They haven't had to deal with what I've had to deal with. All of that has been part of my, and I still allow it from time to time. I call it a wallow day.
I call it a pants day.
So, sometimes I've had a wallow week. No shame. I can't human today.
We're human.
So, I allow myself a wallow day where I rock in the corner, try and have a sing song, maybe wear my pajamas, make poor life choices with a bottle of wine, whatever it is. And
mine's cake, chocolate.
Okay, I love cake too. I could do all the things. So, have it. But then, I remind myself that what you've overcome already is huge. Let's not think that we're going to stay here. Well, it's okay to be here right now, but I'm not staying here. I'm just visiting. And I sort of say to a lot of my students, we're not unpacking and living here. We're just having a look.
Yeah. It's that it's also given, it's good sometimes. I think sometimes it's good to go backwards. I've gone backwards so many times, but each time I've gone backwards in the environment I was before, I realized how much things have changed. So even though my lifestyle might not have changed, actually the mindset has changed from the procedure of where I was back then. Which is,
and then you get the chance to congratulate yourself, which nobody does for you. When you were younger and you did well, somebody gave you a sticker or they gave you a treat. We don't do that for ourselves. Why not? I'm definitely in for the treats. Like, I'm here for the goodie bags and the stickers. And so we can do that for ourselves.
I got a pot. And every little achievement that I've never done before, I put in that pot for the year. So it's by the side of my bed, and it could be something really simple, something little, or it could be something that was big to me, but it was meaningful to me. And I put it in the pot as a reminder, like, so this is going to remind me how far I come, rather than where that I'm still stuck in this place, blah, 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 so it's a reminder, especially New Year's Eve. I don't know if anyone else feels like it, but New Year's Eve is, always been one of my trigger points all throughout the years. It's never been a great place. So I thought New Year's Eve, I can get that out. And that is kind of giving me hope for what's to come in the new year, because we do put emphasis on it. as well. So
that's a lovely idea. I mean, I don't tend to work with New Year's Eve because we live in the UK. I think New Year's Eve is the start of winter. So we've just had Yule at that point. So the winter season is really designed for us. Like as women, we're cyclical, but university, that's my kid. Universally, we are also cyclical. So in winter, it really isn't a great time to be setting our intentions for what we want to bring forth. That's actually coming now. That's today. That's spring. So Ostara, spring equinox. Today is the day it is actually spring equinox today, to be bringing that, what we're working on, where we going, what we're doing, on your marks, get set. And summer is very much go season. So for me, I don't do New Year's Eve at all. And that's such a nice way of honoring how far you've come through that year, because actually energetically what we're looking for at that point in time is to go deep within, like a bear hibernating. I'm going to swear, but I call it going into my bitch cave. So I'm going into my bitch cave for winter. You won't see a lot of me. I won't be doing the things. I'll be working behind the scenes, because the autumn is the release, what we're getting rid of, what served its purpose. Winter is like, what am I sort of bringing to fruition, percolating on, sitting, and so actually being able to turn that like you do is energetically such a great idea.
This season, I suppose that's like the seasons of the like, because you got the spring, which you plant the seeds, don't you? You start planting, and so is that this? Because I know that you're you do a bit of witchcraft as well. So
I'm a practicing pagan, and I do a lot of ritual.
Could you explain that?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So everything is energy. So when we talk about healing is one form of energy, but everything has energy. You, me, fire. You can feel the heat of it. You can feel that there's passion and power contained within that. The moon phases have a different energy. The seasons have a different energy. Even the days of the week have a different energy. Color correspondences. And then you've got things like crystals. I work a lot with crystal healing and herbs. So everything is a layer of energy.
Yeah.
So when you want to bring something to fruition, work on a project, you need to add as many layers, I call it layering energy, as you can to signify to the universe, I mean this.
Right, okay.
So that's how I tend to work. So, I'll use candle magic, and I'll use a specific color candle. Like for today, I will be lighting a yellow or a green candle. I don't know which I've got. I need to go foraging through my box of tricks.
So what's the yellow candle?
Yellow or green, because it signifies new growth, like the sun coming back, balance, the earth. It's very earthbound, this sort of practice. And then, the herbs that sort of speak to me of spring. So I'll be adding things like marigold flowers, which are kind of lively. If I've got daisies, they'll, and I'll just make something aesthetically pleasing to me, light a candle and set my intention for what I'm going to be working on over the next season.
Love that. That's nice.
Whereas summer, I will already be working on something, hopefully. And I light a fire under my own arse at that point. I'm like, right, we're going. We're full speed ahead. And I will sit and write a list. So I'll brain dump, I'll spider chart and be like, right, what am I doing? I need all the pieces of the puzzle down so that I can work through it, because I've got more energy in summer. We've got more energy. And it comes to autumn and we're still trying to work at the same pace, but we can't. The end of September is the signal that autumn's coming. And that's the time to do our inner work, our shadow work.
Yeah.
Doing the releasing of things that we don't want anymore. And then winter is a time to sit and percolate on it. Like I call it, sitting in my bitch cave, wondering what I'm going to do next, ready for spring. And that's how the cycle works. So I work like that. I'll work with moon phases. Like a full moon is a great energy to release things that no longer serve you. So when we talk about that journaling, I would do that in a full moon phase, which is every 28 days. So you haven't got to wait long. Write it down, burn it. I want it gone. But that creates new space for the new moon, which is manifesting. That's then I've already got space from the release at the full moon to bring something in.
So what, because it says here, you know, I've got my notes on my other side of
Give me
this.
notes.
I got my notes. Also, you work with goddess energy. Is that kind of like the similar? Is that
So
alongside?
that's exactly the same. Yeah, I mean that was a newer part of my journey. So that's probably about
Okay.
5 years old.
Oh, wow.
And I kept seeing crows like everywhere. It was mad, loads and loads of crows. And so, you know, I went to Google because spiritual people still Google. We don't have all the answers. I didn't know anybody who was going to know what the meaning of crows was. And I was like, right, just type in like, spiritual meaning of crows. And it was like, you know, it's your spirit animal. I was like, no, that doesn't feel right because I do trust my intuition. And I got a bit further down and it said the Morrigan. And there was this scary looking chick picture with like crows everywhere. And instinctively I was like, is that it? And I got the sort of internal yes. And I thought, oh, I don't know. Really? And I remember just everything then, you know, suddenly I kept seeing the words battles and wars, all of that's affiliated to her. And I call it was in my love and light era. I was still trying to raise my vibration and work at a higher level, like be a nice person, be kind. And she just didn't fit the vibe, right? So I sat in meditation one day and I went, right, Morrigan, I can see it's you. And I don't see things. I'm not all crazy. Don't send the men in white coats. You know, my intuition is like, yes, it's that. Just a clear knowing, a concise knowing, it's that. And I sat and I really genuinely said, I think you're a bit deathy for me. I don't really feel called to work that way. But thank you so much for offering. And I thought, don't be rude. I got this sort of feeling in my mind was like, are we doing this or not? And I'm like, is that me? Because I can be a bit direct too. Yeah. And I was like, oh, yeah, it felt a bit like now or never. So I went, okay, yes. And with that, honestly, my life started falling apart. It's the only thing I can explain to you. I started falling out with people. As I was like, oh my God, since I've started working with her, it's all gone a bit Pete Tong. But actually, she was there to guide me through that. So every time I did a meditation, I feel her energy supporting me, guiding me, like, keep going, you've got this, you know. It's, you know, you don't have to attend every battle you are invited to, was something that kept going through my head, which my dad had said before. But that came back and I was like, oh, okay, I don't need to fight the fight. I just need to walk away. It's not my fight.
Yeah.
So actually, she came in at the point where I was about to go through a really big journey. And she was almost a source of comfort, like energetic comfort. And I should say this, when I work with goddesses and when I teach about working with goddesses, I don't think there's a chick sitting halfway up a mountain in Olympus on a chaise with hot guys feeding her grapes, although I'm disappointed every time that I can't, right? That's not what I think is happening. It's an energy. I think it's an energy that exists in the universe, like Christ consciousness, I think exists. Buddhists worship, you know, Buddha and work with that energy. I think, you know, an angelic energy is another one. For me, deities and goddesses are just another flavor of that. So once I got over the fact that I thought it was dark, and it wasn't. Actually, it was the lightest I've ever been. It was the most amount of shadow work that I'd had access to. Then I started wondering what else was out there, and I started petitioning. That's what we call asking if they'll work with you, petitioning other goddesses. And I went to Hecate and eventually ended up with Lilith as my lead one.
How do you remember all these names?
I don't remember all the run-of-the-mill stuff. Honestly, like, I'm sure like all the sensible information that I should retain has left my head to replace it with things like astrology and moon phases and goddesses. This stuff fascinates me.
Yeah.
Because what I am at the core of it is an energy worker. Right. I work with, you know, I'm a whatever works energy worker as well.
I like that.
I will light a candle, I'll call a goddess, I'll say a prayer. I don't care, right? Whatever's going to get me from here to where I want to be, or get rid of or let go of or release what I want to let go of, that's how I'll work. And so I'll sit in meditation and almost ask, what's the best fix here?
So what would you say how that, you know, all like that, the experiences, because I know we've, you know, I know you've got to go soon and stuff. The experience, no, it's fine. The experience you had, what has it taught you about yourself? What is, like, how has it helped you on your journey? So where we are sitting today, because obviously tomorrow is another day. You know?
I'm very open with the fact that I am not fixed, healed, perfect. I still have trauma. I still have problems. I still have everyday life that just doesn't perform the way I hoped it would, right? So, you know, full disclosure, I'm not sitting here on my cloud with my harp, you know, thinking this is a great life. Sometimes it's tough. But what I do have is this inner resilience, this inner knowledge, this inner wisdom, that I've got a spiritual toolbox, and that's what I call it. And it's not one size fits all. There are different tools in there. So I could work with Reiki. I could work with divination, like tarot cards or runes. I could work with meditation. I could work with healing. You know, perhaps I need to reset. I can do that with tapping. I can do that with, like, drinking a cup of lemon tea because I've got a cough and a cold. You know, there's very human things, there's very spiritual things. This toolbox, you know, of herbs and, you know, inner wise woman wisdom is as powerful to me as I know I can reset my chakra points.
Yeah.
I know I can ask a goddess to carry me. So when I go into a hospital, I'm an empath. I'm also a reluctant medium. I don't like working with it. I've trained to work with it, but I choose not to. And when I go into a hospital, that's a nightmare for me. If I'm not closed properly, that's a nightmare for me. But if I can work with Hecate, or Hecate, as some people refer to it as, she can work on all the realms. So she's underworld, that's the dead people. She's this world, she's the sky, she's the sea. So I can literally just ask her to cloak me at the door, and I'll walk through that hospital with her energy with me. And afterwards, I'll say thank you. And we call that an offering. So, you know, and people have all visions of what offerings are. Sometimes the offering is learning a little bit more. And sometimes it is about, you know, actually Hecate likes a cake, but you can't eat the cake.
Yeah, no, I got to stop eating cake. It's not
what would you advise to someone who feels stuck, even though they keep trying on their journey? Try something else. Like, open your mind to another tool. When I talk about this spiritual toolbox, all of it has been found through necessity, like, because the tools I had didn't work. So,
I get that.
At times, you know, I really would love Reiki to work, but it won't. So when I get stuck, when I get stagnant, the first thing I do is I meditate to see if I've got any inner blocks, any awareness that I can bring, because a lot of these sort of blocks are in your subconscious. And that's annoying, because you know what you can't naturally access is your subconscious. But if you see patterns or triggers, they're great sort of guides to, there's something beneath this. This is happening for me, not to me. It's coming to show me something. So the minute I feel stuck or stagnant, I start to become aware, like open to seeing where I'm seeing patterns, where I'm seeing triggers. I can be triggered like nobody's business.
Yes,
but I know that's covering something up. There's something underneath that. So then I do the why. I call it the 9 whys. Okay, but why? And sometimes I'll write it, like you talk about journaling. Okay, I feel some kind of way. Yeah, but why? Well, because bitches keep trying me, or whatever it is. Yeah, but why? And I just keep asking why until I get to something a little bit deeper, a little bit more real than the surface layer. Then I can do my work on that. Am I going to release it with tapping on it? Am I going to release it with rocking in the corner and having a wallow day? Am I going to release it with, you know, speaking to somebody when we talk? We release so much. As you know, talk therapy is there for a reason. Do I need to actually go and get a therapist? You know, is another sort of really reasonable tool that we don't talk about in the spiritual world. And there's so many ways through, but it's normally through a tool that you don't already have, or a knowing that you don't already have. And I stopped seeing these triggers, although I get annoyed, I stopped seeing them as something meant to limit me. I started saying, well, what if it's an opportunity for growth? And sometimes I say that through gritted teeth. I'm gonna grow. Good.
And sometimes it comes back, doesn't it? I mean, I've experienced it where I thought I'm over it. I'm got over this. I'm like over the hill. And then all of a sudden it goes bang, and it just like, and it could be years later, and you think,
didn't I already do this work? I can already let this go. God's sake. I get it. And yeah, sage, and you know, another way to, if your energy just keeps getting stuck, I introduced like a self dance off every morning for a month.
Okay.
Which is, it sounds wild. I have to make packed lunches in the morning, and I hate it. So it's like my least favorite job of the day. So I put tunes on that I love, and I force myself to dance and move. And that's one of the ways that I can set myself up for a much more positive frame of mind, because the actual movement is grounding you on a spiritual level. Moving your feet, even going for a walk, is grounding you. But you can also release the stuck energy back into the earth.
Yeah.
So if it's not a big problem, but I'm just having a really horrible day, I'll quite often go for a walk, because I'm not one of those hippies who stands in their garden with their feet on the grass going, take me, the universe, you know, I'm one with the trees. That's not who I am. Although if that's your vibe, go for it. But, you know, to go for an actual walk means I can release the trapped energy through my feet without really thinking about it. It gives my mind space to wander, which is meditating.
Yeah, no, I get it. I mean, people make mistake that there's one set of meditation when it's not.
But because my mind's a busy place, I've got things to do and places to go. I'm like, right, we're just going to think of things. I'm like, did I put that washing on? Did I turn it on? Did I write that on the list? Did I think I was going to remember that? Because I'm never going to remember that. Hold on, let me go and write it on the list. No, we're meditating. Right. So, right, back in the room, clouds. So go for a walk is much better for me.
Yeah, that's it. So Danny says, here's you saying you were coughing earlier, and then there's Nina's being, do you believe in manifest? But
I think people only taught us half the journey on manifesting. So when I talked earlier about layering energy, you know, you've got to make sure that you've got you're in flow, you're in a flow state. And that sounds a bit spiritually woo, but you do. So if you are saying to yourself, right, I'm going to be a millionaire this time next year, Rodney, I'm going to be a millionaire, but you've got money blocks, you are going to have an internal conversation goes with your conscious mind, right, we want all the money. And your subconscious mind is going to be, you're never going to manage that, but you're not aware of that conversation happening. I don't mean to make us all sound a bit bipolar, right? But there is energy working all the time. You need to make sure it's working for you and not against you. So there is no point manifesting. But actually, a lot of the time you can see where the blocks are is because you try and manifest and it doesn't come to fruition. I'm like, why not? That's when I go into that why process.
Okay.
What's there?
I like that. We got to remember that, girls, because you're talking to my daughters at the moment.
I think people teach you, right, you're going to sit there and you're going to do a vision board. And I love a vision board, right?
I got a vision board.
But if you are blocked and trapped and don't actually believe it yourself at the core of who you are, you're not going to kid yourself.
Yeah. So it's true.
We need to go back. But I love to keep a journal when I manifest. I manifest on a new moon as well, because I talked about layering energy. So
the new moon's coming up soon.
That's on the 29th of April. That's a new moon in Aries, which is a potent new moon as well. So it's the first zodiac sign. It's the first new moon after the eclipse season. So actually, if your life isn't falling apart right now, you're not even doing it right. And as we come out of that new moon is designed to be like, right, okay, where are we going? What are we working on? So yeah, I do absolutely manifest. I use candle magic for it. I use new moon energy for it. I use affirmations for it. And I keep a journal. I keep a manifesting journal because I like to see there's as much wins in failure for me as there is in the actual wins. Because if something doesn't come or comes in an interesting way that I didn't quite mean, it teaches me to refine my own work, my own ritual, my own practice. You know, I once called in a new boyfriend. I said, I want love, but I didn't specify what. And I got this guy who was really interesting to know. He was a journey, but it wasn't what I was looking for at all. I was like, oh, we need to be a little bit more specific with our manifesting rather than just open to the universe. Yeah, don't get disheartened by it not happening. That means there's a block, there's something there. And actually, that's such a win because it's subconscious. We don't get to find out about it unless something goes wrong or unless something doesn't work. So I'm like, right, this is this sort of reframing that I do. Right, okay, there's an opportunity here. Why did it not come to fruition? Why? I'm like a 3-year-old. Why? Right, okay, what else?
And you should know, Danny, you've got a 3-year-old.
Yeah, I mean, I don't be disheartened by it. Right, I'm going to write it all down. What did I say? What did I do? Okay, is there other practices that I could add in? Because perhaps I just didn't add enough oomph, enough universal oomph to it. So what color corresponds to what I'm trying to manifest? If that's money, that's green. Right, so I could do a money manifesting ritual or a practice. You know, you don't need to be a witch to do a ritual, by the way. When you have a birthday cake and you blow the candles out and make a wish, that's witchcraft.
Yeah, no, I've read all that. I've seen all that. And it's true, isn't it? Because, you know.
So, you know, all I would do is I would add extra layers into it. So what is, you know, if you type in like correspondences for, I don't know, money manifesting or correspondences for attracting new love and see what the correspondences are. That's just a posh word for like the layers, the stuffs, the color, the energy, the time of the week. You know, each day has a vibration. If I wanted to bring something in, I'd work on a Friday. That's a Venus day. So that's all about attracting love and abundance. So, you know, could I add that into what I'm doing and how I'm doing it? And then go and follow people who manifest. If you're manifesting and it's not coming to fruition, go and follow people who are amazing at manifesting. Reagan Hillier is phenomenal. Go and follow Reagan Hillier. What's she doing? How's she doing it? What's she saying? You know, enjoying her free stuff. You know, all of these people, all of these mentors, they're all doing something, saying something, got a newsletter, you know, with hints and tips and tricks. There's something you don't know. That's all. So now it's your job to go and find it. Now it's like my mission is to find out how I'm going to manifest this. What don't I know? Where am I going to find that information? Because I don't know it. Who might know
investigate? It's like being a detective, isn't it? It's like
spiritual detective work. Love that.
Yeah. So you got a Facebook. Is it a Facebook page?
I'm everywhere. I'm everywhere like a rash. So I have got pages on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook, which are I am Marti Baxter.
All in the description box, by the way.
But really and truly, just friend request me on Facebook. I'm old. That's where I spend most of my life. I'm on Facebook. All the youngsters are on TikTok and Instagram. I'm just there making up the numbers mostly. So most of what I do is on my Facebook, but I also have a newsletter. So if you go to, I've got a website. It's martibaxter.co.uk. If you go onto there, you can sign up to my newsletter. And I share twice a month, so I don't spam you, I promise. Twice a month, what energies are coming up, what astrology is coming up, how you can use it, what would serve you, what wouldn't serve you. So I do a like, this is happening, how best to use it. And things like Ostara, you know, like Easter, spring equinox. I'm like, if you're interested, here's a link of 3 rituals you could do. So all of that stuff is through my newsletter.
So you said about online spiritual community. Have you got like, can you tell us a little bit about that? Is that
I would love to, because that is my baby. So it's called Soul Space, the Sisterhood.
Yeah.
I'm a girl. I work primarily with girls, women, ladies, whatever you want to call us. And I love men. It's not anti-man. It's just I have no experience of being a man. So I don't know what I'm doing for you guys. So you're better to follow a man. And I have an online community. It's £11.11 a month, because I do love an angel number. And in there, I bring everything that I do. So I do moon circles in there. I do meditations in there. I'm just starting in April a once a month psychic development Zoom circle.
Okay.
So all of that's included. I'm just teaching Reiki level 1 in there. That's included as well. And I'm doing level 2 in September. And
that's good bargain. That is.
I wanted to bring everybody into a space where I could nurture them.
Yeah.
And I don't want it to be too big either. So if it goes up to the 100, I think I'm around the 70s at the moment. If it goes up to the 100, I'll cap it until people leave. So that's my space to really nurture people, and to teach them what I know. We do rituals in there. We do all sorts in there. I work on astrology. And in July, I'll be teaching tarot and oracle card reading in there as well.
Fabulous.
So that's my baby. I was like, this year, this is actually a really big year for me. It's a 9-year. We're supposed to be working. So, thank you, Helen. Yeah, Helen's in there. I wanted to make something affordable for people who want to get this knowledge, but don't want to pay for a one-to-one with me, because I realized that's like 50 quid and you get an hour and then I'm gone. So I wanted something really affordable, but I do private mentoring, but this is generic. I go live. I'm still trying to work Zoom. I'm a technophobe, but I've got it. I'm so close now. Just need to find out how to say
they all change it, don't they? Yeah.
So yeah, that's my space, and I wanted to keep it at that price so that it was accessible to people. And my hope, which is a terrible business plan, is you'll outgrow me. My hope is, I'll get people who are sort of at the beginning of their journey or struggling with part of their journey. They'll come, absorb the knowledge I have. I'm so willing to share it. Like, take what I know with my blessing. Please let me help you, because that makes the journeys and the struggles and adversities that I've faced worthwhile. That's how I justify it to myself.
Yeah, because I can remember in the 90s, like, I didn't have a lady taught me part of the tarot, but I didn't have no knowledge at all of it. And I think if I had the knowledge that I did, I know it's all part of the path, but hey ho, but if I would have had more of a knowledge, I would be probably a lot more forward in my way of thinking.
We learn through adversity, and I'm no slouch to that myself. But when I've done better and circumvented this is when I've had mentors, and I have been so lucky. I actually am mentored at the moment by 2 different communities, and I swear by it. And that's not to say, because I want people to join mine. I think, there are shortcuts. There are shortcuts to all of this stuff. And I wish you don't know what you don't know, and there's no shame in that. But we get frustrated. Like, I don't know how to get from point A to point B, and I don't know everything, but I probably know a girl who does. I've been around long enough now that I know other people who specialize in things that I don't. That I can go, okay, you've outgrown what I can teach you in this arena, but hey, this is a really good tutor. And there is something really powerful about connecting with other like-minded people. This has been a really lonely journey. And the reason that I brought Soul Space together, originally with a business partner, but now in a solo way, is because I couldn't find what I was looking for. I really wanted a community where I could ask a question and people didn't go, oh my God, she's such an idiot. Because I don't know what I didn't know. And I wanted to be able to ask without feeling judged. I wanted to learn off other people. And you know what? I learn off the ladies in that group all the time. A load of them are absolute specialists in their own arena. And I'm so proud that I can connect that way with them and, you know, say, oh, Chloe's in this group, you know, she does this hypnotherapy. Oh, you know, Susan used to be in this group. She's not anymore because she's gone her own way, but she's great at sound therapy. You know, and on and on and on. And so
I think what's nice as well with the community, because I was on, you know, I was on doing a circle with Sam, and it was I come away from it all, and I wanted to go somewhere where no one knew me. I wanted like a bit of a start again,
yeah,
and it, you know, it was nice to sort of like have people of like-minded to share those things with. You
learn off other people. So
Yeah, you
somebody
do.
asked a question that I haven't thought of, and I'm like, oh, that's a great question. I wonder what the answer is. And I'm sitting there waiting for like them, you know, or I'll ask a question and somebody else will answer it in a different way. And I'm like, that's a fresh perspective that I hadn't even thought of. And I think that's important too. So it's really, you know, I call it getting in the room, even though I don't want to get in the room. I'm quite happy in my house. So I'll get in the online room. I don't want to be in the actual room.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. Yeah. I tell you what, it's been absolutely amazing. I could talk for hours with you, but I know we've got, you know,
I'm going to make a move shortly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if anybody's interested, please reach out to me. I'll happily drop in an inbox or in a message with people to talk about if anything I've spoken about feels like a good fit for them. There's never an obligation with me. I also run crystal lives on my page most weeks, either my Insta page or my Facebook page. So if you're drawn to crystals, I like to talk about the properties of those, so you can just watch that if you don't feel confident to reach out to me just yet. I just want to see who she is, you know, stare at her from the corner like, who is this lady? I am online most weeks, so I'm happy to connect with people and share what I know. And if something I've talked about sort of speaks to you, yeah, drop me a message.
And you've also got a podcast, haven't you?
That's just about to start up again. Yeah. So there is still a podcast. So it's called That Spiritual Podcast. That Spiritual Podcast. So there's loads of old episodes already on Spotify. You can go and find that now. Where I do it with my co-host Phoebes. But her child wasn't well. So we've taken a year off and we're just restarting next week, actually.
Oh, there you
go.
We're
about to bring it onto YouTube. So we've got somebody helping us because it's hard. To polish it all up a little bit. And
you're gonna have to send me the link, Marti.
Yeah, I will do.
Of your Facebook.
I'm new to YouTube. I won't be doing it live on YouTube. We record on Zoom and then drop the episodes in.
Yeah.
There's loads in there. So if you're interested in something I've spoken about, goddesses, she's a psychic medium, Phoebes, amazing medium. So we did things it's all under That Spiritual Podcast. It's all in there.
Right. Okay.
And there is a Facebook page as well, I think. So yeah, I will love and leave you. Otherwise, we'll just keep talking.
Thanks, Claire. But thank you so much. Thank you for all that took part, asked questions. Really appreciate
thank you for the questions.
And it was a lovely afternoon. So we will see. Well, I'll see you soon. So take care. Lots of love.